Does your resume or your business look like a whole bunch of just random hobbies all thrown together without really a true path to success? Or have you ever tried something new, like a new business or a YouTube channel, and feel like you have this overwhelming sense of fear of missing out or FOMO, thinking that you really haven't chose the right thing? What if something's better? What if something's way more fun? Or maybe you have idea overload, where you just have so many ideas. You have no idea where to start. Or maybe you've been called jack of all trades, but we know you are master of none, really. Or maybe you're even like me, where you get 80% there, and then all of a sudden, all of your success, all of your drive just disappears. And if you heard yourself in any of those things, I'm just going to say, you might be a multi-passionate person where you have so many things that you want to do and feel this ever sense of dread that you never have enough time to do it all. And yes, today we're going to talk about the blessings and the curses of being a multi-passionate person. And I'm going to talk about a tool that, my therapist gave me. I cannot believe how much it has changed my life. And I want to share that with you. It's a simple quiz, doesn't cost you very much. I get nothing out of this, it's not sponsored or anything like that. I just genuinely have done so well with the new information that I got from it that I need to share it with the world. Simple as that. So that others don't struggle for years and years and years like I did. I'm hoping that you are younger than me, starting out, and this finds you, that this helps you succeed in life, that it helps you to do better than I did, faster as well. So what is a multi-passionate person? Well, simply put, they're a person who really has a whole lot of interests, and they want to do a whole bunch of things all at once. And the idea of streamlining or niching down almost puts a sense of fear or dread into them, bottom line. And I will say, a multi-passionate person honestly has huge potential. A person who can think creatively to do multiple things, who has the drive or the initiative to look at multiple things at once, this is absolutely a gift. But it could also be a curse. And it can be a curse for the wrong person. Also, society tells us we have to niche down. We have to pick a career and follow that path. We're all asked at a very young age, oh, what do you want to do when you grow up? As if we know at 4 freaking years old what we're going to do and follow that for the rest of our lives. I mean, maybe there are people out there that do it. Maybe there are people who follow the career path that their parents chose for them. But I will say that a multi-passionate person, the moment that something starts feeling routine, it actually starts feeling mundane. You get bored, you end up trying different things. You can even start dismantling it just for the sake of starting something new or restarting something. I know I've been there many, many times. I have built and dismantled 7 businesses at this point. And I'm just going to touch upon this right here at the very, very beginning, because I know there are people who have ADHD, blame syndrome fatigue. Okay. I get it. Everyone seems to have ADHD nowadays, but I will say I'm one of the rare people who was diagnosed at 4 years old. That's very odd for a female back in the 1970s. So I will say having the true diagnosis of ADHD further can put the wrench into this. Not saying that it's 100% to blame, but it will certainly help the multi-passionate person to fall off the rails a little bit easier. And often the multi-passionate person, when they hear the traditional career advice of, follow the path to become a doctor, follow the path to become, a lawyer, etc., and to follow a path that's not really meant for you, could absolutely lead you to burnout. It could lead you to regret. It could lead you to a point where you actually sabotage even your own life with addictions and so on, because that just spices things up a little bit. And yeah, I'm 4 years sober soon. I can say that I have thrown alcohol at way too many problems to numb the situation. So I speak from testament on that one for a fact. Now, let's look at how it actually looks like for a multi-passionate person to build a business or, say, build a YouTube channel. Really, they want to build something out of their passions, out of all of their passions, perhaps all at once, or they try to hone it down to shrink down to maybe fit in the box that people expect from them. Now, I want you to understand that the lack of success or the failures that come from being a multi-passionate person is 100% cognitive and not necessarily a discipline thing. Because a multi-passionate person can be extremely disciplined. I know myself, I get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and start working almost right away. I've worked until 10, 11 o'clock at night. I don't lack discipline. I just lack cognitive skills to get me to the finish line and to keep me going when things are boring. And often multi-passionate people, they kind of put all of their passions into kind of a life portfolio. And sometimes they just struggle with how do those people make it? And I am not. And even though I can do all of this, but I'm not successful like that person over there. And I don't want it to seem like it's all doom and gloom because really there are so many gifts when it comes to multi-passionatism. We just need to know where it is that we fall apart. And I kind of want to give the real life examples of successful multi-passionate people because most people don't even realize that these people would be considered multi-passionate people. So one of the biggest known multi-passionate people is Leonardo da Vinci. You may know him as the artist, but you might also know him as the scientist and the astronomer and the study of engineering and human anatomy. He's a true multi-passionate person who put all of his works into motion along the way. Benjamin Franklin is another multi-passionate person, very well known for science, absolutely. But he was also a printer and he was a diplomat at the same time. And his passion was predominantly science, but he understood that science didn't necessarily pay you back then. So the printing came into play to pay for his passion in science. Maya Angelou, who is one of the divas that I absolutely look up to, she was a dancer, she was a singer, she was an activist long before she was a highly acclamated writer. And there are so many more modern day examples of this. You know, you have singers who go on to becoming actors who also are painters. You have metal workers, you know, somebody who does kind of ironwork who then starts creating sculptures. There's so many real life examples out there. And the point is that you really don't have to say, I need to do everything today. You could really turn around and say, I am just going to do this in this season of my life. However, what happens if you struggle to get to the finish line? If you're like me, where you get 80% there and then stop doing it because maybe it got boring. So after the 7th time of me ripping apart yet another business and starting from scratch, yes, I am back on this channel because that's exactly what I did. I went to my therapist and asked for help. I needed to understand why I was doing this constantly. Why did I get to 80% there and then I rip everything apart and start from scratch? And bless my therapist, I will say the first thing that she said was, well, we need to do a Basadur Profile, which is basically a test or a quiz or whatever, an assessment. I guess that's what it would be. That breaks it down to show you where you are in the creative processing profile. And once you finish the test, you get a report that shows where all of the percentages are in their 4 quadrants that the Basadur Profile outlines. And by doing the quiz, it allowed me to see where my personal strengths were and where my major gaps were. And by identifying those gaps, it really identified why I got to 80% there and then stopped. Now, we're going to go through the 4 quadrants that the Basadur Profile covers. I'm going to put the link in the description. I'll even put it here on the screen, just so if you're interested for yourself, you can go and do it. It's not very expensive. This is not sponsored. This is genuinely because I know it will help people as well. So the 4 quadrants are the generator, the conceptualizer, the optimizer, and the implementer. Now let's get into what those are. The generator loves the idea phase. They love being in that fuzzy, I'm going to come up with a whole bunch of ideas. I'm going to brainstorm. I'm going to brain dump. This is what the generator loves and thrives and lives for. They absolutely love the beginning of an idea. The conceptualizer, they love the idea of putting it all together, of creating that mind map, of identifying the why, and connecting all of those idea dots into one cohesive strategy or one cohesive theory. The optimizer absolutely loves to take the idea and then put it into a fine-tooth plan. They take that big concept and bring it into the little steps that need to be done in order to get you where you need to go, to get you to the point of launch. And lastly, we have the implementer. This is the person who loves to take all of that and set it in motion. They are the doer. They are the worker bee. This is the person who loves checking off the task boxes. They love scratching off the to-do list. They love to see that final product go to market. And they are absolutely great at getting shit done. But let's look at the next steps. What happens once you have done the quiz? So after I did my test, I will say I ended up being in 3 of the 4 categories predominantly. It is not as common to be in 3 categories as it is to be in 2 categories. And there are often people who will live in just one of the categories or the quadrants, basically. Usually the lone wolf in the 1 quadrant area is the implementer because they are the worker bee. They're really not interested in all of the development side of things of running a business, but they're really great at putting it out there and launching it and getting it done, bringing it over the finish line if you are a car fan. Now, with me being in 3 quadrants, again, not so common. Usually, if you're in 2 or 3 quadrants, you definitely could be considered multi-passionate because you have the ability to do multiple things. Now, I will say I had very, very little of the implementer in my quadrant scoring. This is why I end up going to 80% of a built business and never seem to get it to 100% done, launch, put out there, keep it going, because I don't have enough implementer in me. I live in those 3 other quadrants very, very well. I love ideas. I love putting them together. I love creating the systems and processes to get them done. I just can't bring them to go. I don't know why. It just becomes kind of boring to me at that point. And this is the problem for many multi-passionate people, is that they don't have the ability to bring it over the finish line. They love the dopamine fix of the whole 80%, but when it comes down to the 20%, it becomes boring, routine, mundane, whatever. And unfortunately, that is where the money is made. That is where the success lives, is once it's up and going. So how do we use all of this, though? How do we use the Basadur profile to be able to help multi-passionate people to succeed a little bit better? Now, let's look at some of the strategies that my therapist suggested that I approach to be able to get things over the finish line the next time. So, and yes, I said next time, because yes, I'm starting from scratch again. So if you end up doing the test and you discover, like me, hey, I am definitely not an implementer as well, what do you do? What are your choices at that point? Your brain is simply just not wired for the task doing, the checking of the box. So you need to be able to bridge the gap of you taking it to 80% and getting something done to take care of the other 20% to be able to get you to a launch status. So my therapist kind of suggested two things for me. One of them I was already kind of doing, but I wasn't doing it well. So my therapist suggested that I bridge the gap by hiring somebody. And that's fine to do if you have the money to do it. You absolutely should hire somebody. I know I had hired a virtual assistant. I also had a video editor at a point, and I will say that really did help me. However, it does also require you to be able to pay these people. It also requires you to have the tasks that these people will be doing for you as well. You really can't bring somebody on and say, hey, figure it out when it's your business. So you do have to kind of create the SOPs, the standard operating procedures for these people to be successful. So hiring for the gap is 100% valid. You should do that if you have the money for it, but just understand you might have to hire somebody first to help you with SOPs, the standard operating procedures, to be able to then roll that out for somebody to take over for you. Now, that being said, if you cannot hire somebody, we now have the ability to use AI to help us streamline some of the business. And yes, there are some very smart people out there who have created apps and programs that can help you with implementation to help you with some of the monotony out there. Unfortunately, it is an environmental strain, but for the person who doesn't have a whole lot of money, it is an alternative to start up at the beginning until you can hire somebody. And you're probably going to have to face reality that you live in the life of very system heavy rather than effort heavy. And you're going to have to hire or fill that effort gap. Bottom line. And the great thing is that once you know that you have a gap and you know how to fill that gap, you can use the Basadur profile to find who will help you fill that gap. Because if you're looking at a whole bunch of really talented people to hire, this might be the profile that you need to do for them, because you're not going to hire a salesperson who is going to do an admin job kind of thing. They're going to be in the wrong place. And you're not going to hire a person who absolutely loves entering data to do cold calling. It's just not going to work out. So using the Basadur profile also as part of your hiring process is another bonus that you can do to being able to ensure that you hire the right person. So bottom line is, as a multi-passionate person, you can absolutely take all of your passions and try them over time. And that is the key. Over time, you may want to start off and say, okay, right now, this gives me the best opportunity to make revenue, to launch easiest, etc. You may want to go with your top revenue generating idea at first. And then once you have it up and running, you have somebody doing the implementing of everything for you. Then maybe you start introducing some of your other passions into play. And maybe you just keep some of them as a hobby or as just an interest or something that you kick the can down the road and say, in the future, I will try that out. Maybe you end up owning 7 different businesses along the way. Who knows? I hope all of them are highly successful for you if that's what you end up doing. And with that, I'm going to thank you for being here, for staying right to the end, for being awesome. And I have to say, please, you did enjoy the video, please like and subscribe. If you learned something, comment. I would love to hear from you. That helps a small channel out. And YouTube is going to start suggesting in a moment a video that they feel that you should explore next. I hope to see you in future videos here, and thank you. Thank you for being amazing.